Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. Merry Christmas. Today is Christmas Day. Always been a great holiday over here because everybody can enjoy Christmas, you know. The religious people can enjoy the aspect that Jesus was born today. And for the non-religious people, you can go with the whole Santa Claus thing. You know, it's an all-around holiday. And wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying today. Today, because it's getting close to the end of the year, I thought we would do a restoration, a challenge restoration, kind of a self-challenge, because you know how I like to do auto wrenches and monkey wrenches, things like that. Well, I got this wrench back from a guy in Jacktown a while ago, so let's take a look at it and see what we can do for a Christmas restoration. Okay, I got this a while ago at Jacktown. This is kind of a challenge wrench, and the reason I say that is because I was talking to the guy I bought it from, and I said, yeah, I like these wrenches. I restore them. He goes, well, that thing's beyond restoration. I said, well, I've done worse. He goes, not worse than this thing. He goes, believe me, this is junk. And that's why I'm selling it for a quarter. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll take that as a challenge. And I sat on it for a while. But it really is this is something that you normally would just pass over, because look at it. I mean, it's just beat the heck. And this was already, he wire brushed it, I guess, to get the rust off it, and when he was trying to sell it. But I mean, it's frozen, nothing moves. You know, this is, what do you think? Do you think this is something that, look at the back, look at the beating, look at the pounds, the abuse this thing took over the years? What do you think? Do you think we can make this something that people would say, wow, I like that wrench? But again, because it's a useless wrench, I want to do something over the top in Scout Crafter style. We haven't done that in a while, so let's get started. Okay, first off, like I said, this is frozen. It's not moving anywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of heat on here, a little bit of my 50/50 automatic transmission fluid and acetone, best penetrant there is, and a channel lock, and we will get that loosened up in no time. Okay, a little heat, a little of that 50. If you don't have this, please make it up as your New Year resolution. 50/50 ATF and acetone. Look at this. Remember, it was frozen. Look at it now. We got it working. I mean, look at underneath. It was, you know, that's some of the rust they missed. But you can see here. Now the only thing is getting that pin out, okay? That pin, it's rotating, but trying to get that out, there's no way you can really get it out other than we're going to have to cut. We're going to cut here, and we're going to cut on the bottom, whatever, and pop it out. So we can take it apart. Now, we can't get these, for some reason, the pin here. You can see, even though it's turning here, it won't come out. And you know why? Because it's frozen. I'm sure with all the rust that we have on this wrench, I'm sure that pin is frozen to this knurled nut here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit it with a hacksaw on both sides, pull this out, and then address and make a new pin. Now, actual time on that cut was less than a minute. We cut the front and the back of this nut. You can see it's still nice and tight in there. But now you can see that pin frozen in there. We're going to have to punch that out. That's no problem. And you can see now we could remove this here. Again, no problem. And then we can take a look at here. Okay. Now you can see we're going to have to punch that out, and no problem. And then over here, we're going to drill that, you see? We're going to drill that, and that's the way to do it. Okay, because we've done this 20 times before, everything's going nice and smooth. Now, if you're going to try, when we cut that pin out, the slug was still in here. There was no way you're getting it out without really heating this up. You can see it turned it black. You got to really heat this up, then get a block or something with a hole in it, and put that over there and punch the pin out. We did that. And we got the pin out of the top here. Now we're gonna drill that out when we tap it anyway for the new pin, and then we're gonna start working on this, cleaning it up. So everything's going according to plan, even though this thing is a mess. But we are at our post wire brush evaluation, and good news, everything's coming as expected. All the rust is off. We still got to get inside there, but you can see we're cleaning it up. I filed down some of these teeth that were a little bit warped, but this came out nice, right? The wheel. the thumb wheel. But check this out. This was the pin that was in there. That's what, that thing was solid, rusted in there. And if you didn't put a lot of heat on there, you'd never get that out. Okay, here's what the good news is. Check this out. Yep, it's bent. That means we got to go to the dake. It really is Christmas. The dake. Okay, let's check out the setup. Okay, now whenever I'm at the dake and I'm bending tools, I like to use wood blocks whenever I can. Here's some old 2x6s, some scraps. And you can almost see the bow here, right? You know, I set up the camera. You can almost see it. You can see it's right around here somewhere, you know. But it's not one specific spot where you can put it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to even out the pressure by putting another block of wood here, right about there. And then we'll give it a little bend and see where we're at from there. But that looks about right. Remember, we have to go past it now before we can notice any bend. Now, this is, that's 1 ton. Now you can see, I'll lower you down just a little bit so you can see here. Okay, you can see the bend, the reverse bend. Now when we let go, it's going to spring back. You're always going to get some spring back, you know, that's normal. So we'll let that spring up a little bit and then we'll check it out to see how we're doing as far as straightness goes. And again, to check straightness, you hold it like this and look down the side, and you can see we got a little bit more to go. Okay, we're going to push now. We changed the 2x4 a little bit to put a little bit more directly in the middle. You can see here now we're level. Again, we'll go down. We're only going to put just a little, about a ton, just about a ton of pressure, which is nothing really for the dake, and then we'll check it out again. Okay, we got to go just a little bit more. Changed it around a little bit. We're going by feel now. We're not going by pressure. We're going by how that feels in my hand when I'm pressing. And then we take it like this, and we line it up, and we look down, and it's starting to look really good. Now, there are a dozen ways I can get the marks out of here. You know, I got all kinds of sanders and filing or whatever. You can use whatever you can, but, you know, what's more fun than the angle grinder with a sanding pad? Knock that right off. Okay, now you can see, and only, I'm telling you, it was less than 30 seconds with that sanding pad. We were able to get onto all the heavy, you know, look, compared to that side. Look at that, right? Now we'll just work it, we'll refine it. You know, we can go to the belt sander, but we'll flatten it out. But you can see how it's coming along. We got to do every surface on here. I always like to put a hole in the bottom of my monkey wrenches, and that's because not only can you hang up the wrench, but you can also hang stuff up with the monkey wrench. I'll show you that later on, but using a step drill, let me show you how easy it is to put a nice chamfer on that hole. You see that sharp edges that's there. We just go to the next size and just tap it. Look how nice that looks, you know, much better than if you just left a sharp edge on there. Now, these auto wrenches had a floating pin that they peened over the tip of this, and that stopped the pin from coming out, but it was a bad design. You couldn't service the tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a pin out of this and thread this section of it and screw that in, and you'll see when it's done. But what we have to do is machine this down. It's a regular 5/16 by 18 threads per inch bolt. Now, the reason I drilled partly into the tip of the bolt is so that I can mount the bolt into the lathe between the chuck, and I can support it with this revolving tailstock, and then this way I get more rigidity so I can cut this down to the right size. So basically what we want to do now is take this down to the same size as the pin was, and then we'll go for the fitting. Okay, here's the pin that we made. You could see how nicely this is done. All it is, like I said, it's a 5/16 bolt, and you see how it fits in here. Look at the fit we have on there. It's just a beautiful spin fit with no play whatsoever. And what we'll do is that will go in here, obviously, and then this will pass through here. And you see the threads? The nice threads we did in here. This goes into here like this. it'll screw down. We put a slot in there with a hacksaw, and then we will screw it down like this, and when it screws down tight against the pin, you can see what it looks like. Look at that. Isn't that a much superior design than peening it over? And you can always service it and lube it, so we'll get finished on it. Okay, now we are dry fitting the wrench, and that means you put everything together, make sure everything operates nicely, nice and smooth, as you can see, and make sure, because you don't want to do your final polishing before you make sure everything's going to work. And also you want to make sure everything fits up nice and snug. See how nice that jaw closes? You know, that took some work because that was all buggered up. So okay, now it's ready for final polish and paint. We've got to figure out what we're going to do in here. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this beat up old wrench looked like before we started. And we are calling this project done. This was a nice little Christmas project. Had a little bit of everything in here. You remember what it looked like before. And we did it with a candy green on this side. And you know the Christmas colors are always red and green. So we did the red on this side, the candy red. We did the little bit of jeweling on the top here. You can see how nice and smooth. Look at that. Works just beautiful, you know. This is the way these wrenches are supposed to work. And did the backup all nice. All those pit marks are gone all the way through. Jaws are all straight and cleaned up and level again. And look at the back of that handle, huh? How nice is that? And smooth and polished. This is just a beautiful wrench. And, you know, it's hard to get the right lighting to show the beautiful color, but this is a much deeper green than you see here. It looks a little light here, and the same with the red. It's a much deeper red. But let me show you how the wrench actually works on a nut. Okay, we're over at the nut tester. We'll give it a shot here, see how this works, this wrench. And you can see the jaws are aligned nicely. You can snug it up a little bit. And how nice this works. And you can easily, one finger, you could snug this wrench up, bring it onto the nut. Just a beautiful operating wrench. And obviously you can go the other way too to loosen it. So works well. I don't use these wrenches much, but I do enjoy especially restoring. Let me show you what I was talking about the hole that you could use to hang. Now, here's a feature that nobody uses these wrenches for, but I think it's just great. You can use this as a universal hanging apparatus. Now, let's say you had a board. It could be a 2x4. It could be anything. And you, all you have to do is take your monkey wrench like this, put it over here, and snug it up. Once it's snugged up, you have this hole here that you could use with chain, with any kind of, to hang a lot of stuff. And it's very strong, obviously, because it's a wrench. And it's, you know, 1, 2, 3. It could take it on and off and position it anywhere down the board that you wanted. I always thought that was a good use for these wrenches, especially if you want to hang stuff, if you want to hang things to dry, paint, or whatever. That's why I always put a hole in the bottom of these. So there we have our Christmas restoration wrench, and if you tuned in, you're pretty diehard today. So I hope you do have a wonderful Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever holiday you celebrate. I hope it's filled with health and happiness. And thanks so much for tuning in. Take care now. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.